Yeah, Empatheatre began kind of officially in 2014.
Do you finish your PhD in
Yeah,
empathy?
I just finished my PhD looking at empathy as a kind of sculptural material. And Neil and Mpumi already had this long career of like really incredible kind of political, magical realist theatre. And so when we brought those two worlds together around social justice, it just was like it was just immediate. And then the three of us just created Empatheatre.
But I want to leave it for you to.
The reason we are interested in working with Empatheatre and the reason kind of we found that their approach really suits this project is what we have found before is that collecting stories about people's own experiences can be a really, really powerful way of then having a conversation about issues. I mean, I found that really important because I know the baboon issue is really polarized, and the communities that are dealing with it are often so divided that they've tried to have conversations for many years as well and not made any progress.
So we brought Empatheatre in at a very early stage when we were thinking about designing this process. And I'd always been really inspired and kind of by their approach to unpacking and unlocking stuck issues in South Africa. We made the call early on to bake Empatheatre in as a kind of core component of how we would take the information we collated and collected and the relationships and networks we developed through that process a step further, a step beyond just taking it to academic publication or just presenting at conferences, and really thinking about how we return the stories, how we return the ideas, and how we deepen the discussion back into the communities and spaces that we collected the stories from.
Empatheatre is we're not just a storytelling company, we're a theatre-based research collective. There was really two kind of research streams for Unruly. So the research that came was the current context and the perceptions of people who live with baboons, which was really vital, and it played a big role in sculpting the research. But as Empatheatre, we can't tell a story just about perceptions without telling a story about context. What is the history of the place in which this current story is taking place? What's in the archive, which can also be quite skewed, and therefore it was also important to look at the mythological and kind of folk customary traditions in South Africa around baboons.
Yeah, so we are somewhere in Takai with what seems to be hundreds and hundreds of baboons. We are here with Unruly Natures project and an Empatheatre collaboration that we're developing with Mr. Andrew Buckland over there, who's busy studying the baboons, which is one of the reasons for our visit this morning, is to really understand these creatures that we've been doing so much research about for the last year and a half, I think it is, with the Unruly Natures team.
Andrew Buckland, he was our first choice, and we're very glad we got him, who's just an incredibly accomplished theatre maker, all-round theatre maker, and he played a huge role also in helping us co-create this play and write it.
So as part of how we designed Unruly Natures, we also wanted to make sure that for each of the areas where we had collected stories, we also wanted to bring the Unruly, the play, back to those areas as well and engage the residents in conversation.
How I see the situation right now in the baboon context is that we are kind of in this moment of stuckness. We're communities that are trying their best. There's some public engagement, but it's not really meaningful. I see the Empatheatre as a possibility to kind of like unlock some of that stuckness and maybe lose some of those knots and maybe, release some of the tension.
There's something that happens in this performance and play where the audience undergoes something together, and then you kind of vulnerable together and open, and there's a kind of receptivity at the end that's so beautiful to see how people speak to each other, the kind of respect and care that's shown. How can we, just disarm people of the kind of armor that they normally walk into a conflict situation with. And we're finding that storytelling is one of the most profound and exciting ways of doing that.
Eugene is utterly unimpressed.
Yeah, it was a very moving play. The experience of people where they trash their houses, how difficult it is for them. I had a bit more of an experience of that. and how they can get angry and how they can get defensive and how they can put up more and more barriers. It helped me to understand that as well, the other side.
It felt here in Komaki there was a definite sense of people listening to each other, being able to express something shared, but then I think also listening to the difference. It did feel like there was space for many voices. And I think it reignited a real sense of how much of an impact theatre making can have.
We need a space in which we can look at multiple ways of being, knowing, and doing together as humans and understand, yes, that's okay, but there are many subjective realities that are leading to the worlds we're creating. And so we want to navigate those subjective realities through this third space that we create in Empatheatre. I think artists often get relegated to become communicators of science. And while we do an element of that, and we're good at that, we go much deeper into the question of how artists are researchers unto themselves. Arts-based research can offer very dynamic, transdisciplinary, and also trans-epistemological ways of thinking about the world. And our research process also democratizes research. It's not just scientists practicing research, but everyday people helping co-define the questions, co-define the concerns, co-surface the stories, and then collaboratively analyze the stories. So through the theatre making and the performance and the post-show dialogue, audiences, the public, different kinds of publics of different levels of agency and power are able to collaboratively look at the research and say, this is what it means for me.
Public engagement has been an issue for a long time around this issue. It's been very tricky to have conversations within communities as well as between communities and authorities. This is where we hope that Empatheatre can contribute something new and help people find new ways of talking to each other and working together towards solutions.